Hello! Hello and welcome to the first ever podcast, so to speak, where we talk about movies and shows and games and media and we watch some videos that may or may not be pretty bad about those shows and movies and media. Thank you so much for the love, Mungo. I appreciate it. You said a lot of nice things. But yeah, hopefully this is the setup I stole from Mahler's setup. He's a pretty good kind of podcaster. He's a there's that. So yes, thank you for that. He's a pretty good YouTuber. I mean, he has some views on his videos, and he also has a podcast, and this is kind of his layout, so I'm just kind of stealing from him. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. This is something I wanted to do since I started streaming last year, and I finally get to do it. But yeah, usually in this section of the template, we would have guests and stuff. So hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to do that, and we won't have cams on. We just do Discord profiles. But yeah, no, it's very exciting. I'm very happy to finally be able to do this. I guess let's talk about Joker for a second. I rewatched it last night, and it's still pretty fucking good. There's a couple there. I think there was one or two more things that I found an issue with. But aside from that, it's like still one of the better movies, or one of the greatest of 2019. I mean, it came out in 2019, I think so. Easily one of the greatest in 2019. But I still think it's a fucking great movie. And I have a lot of references, from the movie to talk about, but that's just kind of the take. That's kind of how I'm gonna, present myself in the beginning. But there are other people who have opinions that are somewhat justified, whether well or not. It's it's up to them. Such as Jenny Nicholson, somebody who's extremely popular. And she has a Joker video that we'll go through. And then somebody called Mintrum Movies. He has quite a few views on that video as well. But let's just get right into it. I think we're just gonna jump in. Jenny Nicholson's video is about half an hour. But for us, we're gonna pause and stop everywhere that we think that we should, just to kind of respond to whatever is being talked about. So let me make sure everything is set to go. How are you doing, Mongo? You doing good? Let's see. All right. For some reason, it's not loading. Okay. So let's see. I did this really cool transition thing. You just look up there real quick. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh shit! Look at that. The curtains are up now, and we're good to go. Look at that. Look at it. Like, you doing good? That's good. I'm glad to hear that from you. Why isn't it showing up though? Why isn't that? Oh, I know why. Yeah. There you go. Now it's showing up. Kind of feel like shit because of my vaccine. Oh, you got the second one, eh? That'll do it. That'll make you feel like shit. Fair enough. But yeah. So a little bit about Jenny Nicholson. She's a pretty popular. It's like 741,000 subscribers. You can see down there. And she has quite a good following. This video itself has 1.2 million views, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it once we get through it. I have it a little bit cut off actually. There we go. I think that'll do just fine. Cool. Let's just jump into it. That's okay. That's 5 minutes in. Weirdly overblown. I don't understand the decision made there, but not something I would decide to do. Cause I even have a light over me, and I don't know what
say about proper clickbaity popular films that I was actually in the middle of drafting a video about the Dog's Purpose trilogy. Anyway, I didn't think it was very good. I mean, actually, I guess it was sort of good. I mean, there's so many movies I like less than this. There's such a heavenly glow coming off my porg. I'm gonna move the camera a little.
You see, I thought she was gonna say there's a heavenly glow coming off of her face, but she says off her porg. Off to the side there. I don't know why she would say that rather than her face, but
I'm trying to be more fair about my rating scale, which admittedly does just consist of good and bad. So anyway, since this was
Okay, here's something. You can't really have a scale that's binary, right? I don't think you can. I don't think it's like saying there's a spectrum of something and it's black and white, So nitpicky, but like
entertaining. I would like to designate it as good kind of, but I'd like to talk about it a little more. The setting.
So she says that Joker is good kind of just because it's entertaining. Now, I mean, that's kind of her standard, right? But it's kind of like it's a weird standard to have, because when you say something is quote unquote good, you're typically talking about the quality rather than your opinion of the movie. Like let's say I love the movie Twilight, or let's go with another example. I love The Room, right? I would never say it's good though. Those are two very different things to talk about. One is talking about quality, the other one is I just really enjoyed it. And for some reason she's saying that it's entertaining, which is subjective, obviously. Like if you guys have ever seen The Fanatic, that's extremely entertaining. But I would never say it's good. And I don't understand why she would say it's good kind of, because it's entertaining, So her scale is going to be like all over the place in this video. I mean, as far as I remember, because I watched this back in 2019, way over a year ago. That's weird to think about.
The time period, that's all really cool. Finally, someone is acknowledging that the old-timey, show-tune, dancing, clown man aesthetic just is kind of cool. But the story didn't really, do anything. And back up before you get really...
So there's her first big thing. I'm a little bit peaky right now. The story is kind of not good. I think that's what she says. Let's play that over.
Do anything and back.
Oh, okay. The story kind of doesn't do anything. What the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry to curse, but what do you mean the story doesn't do anything? I mean, I would say, in my opinion, but the story does do a lot. It's not even an opinion thing. There are events that happen, so clearly things do happen. The story does, there's stuff that is done. She's got to fix her. I that's what I'm telling you, man. My camera, I don't want to put it on auto exposure, but see it even does better than that. I don't know why she wouldn't change her settings, but whatever. I don't know why she said that. I don't know why she said, because it's almost like in every movie, like there's a story happening. But with this movie, for some reason, things don't happen. Weird thing to say.
Before you get really angry, you'll still get angry. I'm not saying, oh, it's boring. Where's Batman? That's not my criticism at all. This whole movie kind of reads.
Yeah, that's a shitty criticism. I remember a lot of people hated Joker because they didn't have Batman in it, and it's like, why? Like, if there was a movie called like Thanos, why would the Avengers have to be in it? It's a terrible criticism of the movie. The movie is not good because it doesn't have a character that's close to it. It's like saying like Batman isn't a good movie because this character wasn't in it, or this character wasn't in it, or this or this or this. Even if there isn't like an inherent, like, not inherent, but like, even if there wasn't a supervillain in a Batman movie, does that make it a bad Batman movie? I don't think so. I think there's a good conversation to be had there.
Is one of those productions that like switched directors halfway through and they didn't get to complete their vision, which is not what it is at all. So that's bad. It has a pretty compelling setup. You like Arthur at the beginning. The things that make his life sad are generally pretty believable. But then the world around him just becomes so comically mean in such an over-the-top way. Any of these...
So, there's another thing. Now, I would accept that kind of a criticism if it weren't in the city of Gotham. Criticism out the door, for real. But she says that it gets comically, like, ridiculous in this world. Like Joker gets, Arthur gets fucked up by all the things that's happening in Gotham. But that's just the thing. That's the setting of Gotham. You can even hear it in like the beginning, like intro scene of the movie. Like the radios, the TVs, they're all saying like, oh, Gotham's getting fucked up. You're hearing people talking about the trash in the streets. You can't go down an alleyway without seeing like a poor person, something like that. But to say that it gets comically really bad, also 4 eyes here, literally. To say that it gets comically bad is just it's exactly the setting, especially with social services like cutting off like therapy and medicines to people like that. It's gonna be a surge of people like getting really fucked up. This is not only is this the story of Joker, but it's also like the beginning of the downfall of Gotham. This is how Gotham becomes such a terrible place. It's cool to see that. It's very cool to see that, but unfortunately not for her.
These weird, sad incidents on their own, you'd kind of be like, okay, but they pile up so much that it just becomes absurd. A good example.
So that's the thing. The fact that it piles up, it's fucking feather. The fact that it piles up is what like messes up Joker. Now, it's not getting piled up just because of convenience or contrivance. The first thing that is quote unquote convenient or contrived is the I still wouldn't even say contrived. Like, is the kids in the beginning stealing Joker's sign, and then beating him up with it. I think not only did they beat him up, but I think they stole his wallet. I could be wrong on that, but hard to believe for me that she put 30 plus minutes of shitty criticism. I mean, we're only a minute and a half through, and we've been live for 20 minutes. I don't know how long we've been covering the video. I think 10 minutes maybe, but it's gonna be a good stream. I think I'm excited for this kind of content. But where was I? Yeah. So the kid's stealing the sign, beating him up, and then he gets fucked up by that. Sure, contrived, but that's kind of what sets it off, and a contrivance or a convenience for a setup is not an issue. The only time it is an issue is when a contrivance or a convenience is the solution to a problem. Is when it ends up to be the solution. Like, this is how the event, you know, I don't know what to call it, you know, balls up. What do you say? I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say. And then after every single thing after that is a cause and effect sequence, that piles up on him. But that's because, you know, of the things that happen in the movie. It's not just random. It's not convenient. It's not contrived, like she is kind of implying here. So I don't know why she would say that's pretty bad. I don't. That's like if this was any other movie, this would be very, very different.
Example is the scene where his social worker tells him that he's no longer going to be able to receive therapy or check-ins or whatever those were supposed to be, or medication, because funding has been cut from the program. She tells him this, and so okay. But then unprompted, she's like, they don't care about people like you or people like me, which was kind of what the implication had been, but I guess the director didn't trust us to understand what was going on, and I assume...
No, so I understand what she's trying to say, is that they're kind of forcing it, like for children who don't understand it, which is something like later on in the movie that I think kind of happens, which is fair enough, but that the fact that the social worker is supposed to be a character, like she's thinking that the social worker should not be somebody who has like a quote unquote character, you know, like the social worker doesn't actually care about his patient, her patients, I mean. So because or the director doesn't want us to think like that, you know, the therapist is actually a good person. Like she's saying, hey, you know, Arthur, you know, this place is fucked up. They don't actually care about you. They don't actually care about me. It's not my fault. I can't do anything about it. But this is just how it is. You know, this Gotham is fucking. It's terrible. It's insane. And it's not like an exposition piece, like she might be saying that it is. It's just the fact that she's trying to sympathize with Arthur. You know, she doesn't want Arthur to hate him, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to want your patient to understand about you. You know.
In that second half, the or people like me, was to try to kind of clumsily justify why she would volunteer this kind of angry statement. We're meant to understand her frustration that she can't help people at her job the way she wants to. But this line doesn't work because in all of their previous meetings, she's never like connected with Arthur. In fact, she barely listens to him, which is portrayed as part of the problem. Most of the time when he's talking and it cuts to her, she's just kind of looking at him in like bemusement or boredom. So why now would she say something as on the nose and inflammatory as this to this brooding, unstable man who's about to be taken off his meds? It just feels clumsy and feels like it lowers the IQ of the whole movie that they have to tell you this in such certain terms. It also makes her a very weird character. We can't show her being very sympathetic to Arthur or connecting with him or really helping him, because in order for the thesis statement of this movie to work, I guess everyone in every facet of Arthur's life has to be dismissive of him or wrong him in some way. Another good example...
So talking about the social worker real quick, I think she brings up a good point that the social worker should be like trying to help him. And like in the first scene that we see with the social worker, we see she doesn't actually listen to him. However, this could also be a factor of, or not a factor, but like an unreliable narrative thing, which is something we'll talk about throughout the movie. But Arthur says that she or that he said to her the meeting before, which we don't see, he mentioned that in his journal he writes like or he has a joke diary. He uses the journal to write jokes in, and she says, no, you didn't tell me about that. And then he says, yes, I did. So it's kind of a thing where we don't exactly know who is telling the truth. However, in the case that we assume that the social worker actually does care, which would be more consistent, the social worker did also ask Arthur to bring his journal from last time, which we don't see again. But that could be an indication that she does care. She does want to help him. And even the fact that she's even talking to him, not get like not that she doesn't ask those same questions as everybody else, but she it's more consistent if we assume that she does care and that she does say things, which would also assume that Arthur is being unreliable and actually didn't tell her that he is having a joke diary in his journal. I think that's a better understanding of the movie rather than thinking that and it's not an unreasonable thing to think about. It's like it's an easy thing to infer that that, and then that would also make the they don't care about you, they don't care about me, they don't care about us, Gotham's fucked up. That would make that one make much more sense. What was it? Joe or Arthur is an unreliable narrator. Yes, correct. The social worker should not be like that. And then I bring up my points about that.
At the very beginning, he's hired out from his clown talent agency to go hold a sign at a store's closeout sale. There's already a lot to unpack here. I'll be generous and skip
I mean,
right
I don't know.
over-
I don't know if there's a lot to unpack. Joker works for a clown company and he's holding up a sign. He's doing his job. Did she say something before that I didn't catch?
Sign at a store's closeout sale. There's already a lot to unpack here. I'll be generous and skip right over clown talent agency. I'm not a child of the 80s, and for all I know, clowns really did have such a heyday back then that it justified operating clown talent.
It's not even the fact that it doesn't even matter if it's a real life thing. Like, if there wasn't like clown stuff back then, that doesn't make this a problem. And this is just a thing. It's normal, or they have a job and they're getting money from it, so it's clear to think that this is a profession in this world, in Gotham at the very least.
Talent agencies, I don't know. But if I may indulge in a brief, very nitpicky sidebar, why did the sign holder have to be a clown? Couldn't it just be any temp worker? If the job is only to hold a...
Sure, but if he's hiring a temp worker, we can infer that the temp worker would have to be paid more than what they pay for the clown, and the guy who's selling his shop is playing piano and just wants somebody to hold up the sign. A clown will get more attention from the people walking on the street. I mean, there's a bunch of things like that makes sense to rent a clown rather than having a temp worker work there, especially if like he has to pay insurance and all that kind of stuff for the temp worker.
Sign, and the purpose of the...
I mean, the clown is essentially a temp worker.
Clown costume is just to generate attention to the person holding the sign.
Yes, there you go.
Then wouldn't just an underqualified non-clown temp worker get you much better bang for your buck, especially if you're trying to save money because your store is going out of business? Does nowhere in this city rent clown costumes to non-clowns? And does this...
No. I don't know if we can infer that, though. If there's a clown place that you can rent from, that you can have somebody work from, is it safe to say that you can rent a clown costume? I don't know if it is. That's a fair point, and it might be true, but I don't know if there's any indication that we can think that. I wish I had somebody else to talk to with, and maybe they would know.
Store owner not have like an unemployed nephew he could recruit for this task? But
I guess not. He didn't hire his nephew, so I mean, you could probably infer that he might have a nephew, but I don't, because he hired the clown. I think you might be able to infer that he doesn't. I don't know.
Digress. Arthur is holding this sign and he gets mugged by some hooligans.
Nevertheless, I think yes, it's a nitpick, but like, I think that's a fair argument to have. I think there's a good conversation to be had there.
happens. And to add insult to injury, they take his sign and they break it. And then Arthur, like probably a full week later, gets yelled at by his boss because the store owner wants his sign back. What, your going out of business sign? Isn't a sign like that, by its very nature, a sign that you only need for a limited amount of time? Anyway, I'm not auditioning for cinema.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, his sign broke. He doesn't want to buy another sign. Especially, I mean, it's a good-looking sign. I don't know why you would want to buy another sign. Especially if... What does she say? She actually just contradicts herself here.
His sign back? What, you're going out of business sign?
Yeah, you're going out of business sign that is temporary, but he's still probably going out of business, which is why he wants the sign back. And that's why the boss thinks that, oh, Arthur took the sign, I don't fucking care if, kids stole it or whatnot. I'm taking out your bank check or checking a check account, and he fucks over Arthur like that. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I think that's totally fair that the old man who's going out of business wants his sign back rather than paying for another one. I don't know why she would think that, because she just said like it's cheaper to hire a temp worker. Weird. That's like, is it just me? She just contradicted herself, right?
Isn't a sign like that, by its very nature, a sign that you only need for a limited amount of time? Anyway, I'm not auditioning for CinemaSins here, and I'm not counting that as like a...
That's not even like a... Oh, I fucking hate how everybody says like nitpicking equals CinemaSins. CinemaSins, a YouTuber who makes jokes and critiques. It's hardly critiques. It's really just a bunch of sex dick jokes, and almost the worst critiques that you can have. Don't, like, even if you're nitpicking, I still wouldn't even call you CinemaSins, and I hope you wouldn't call me that either. It's like, it's fucking... I don't know if you've seen CinemaSins, Mongo, but my goodness, he used to be good, like way back when, almost a decade ago. I don't know, but his quality is just it's just tanked,
A real big strike against the movie. I just thought it was kind of funny. My beef is very unsurprising. It's the same as it always is. I don't like when movies carry themselves like they're very clever and like they have big themes and then fail to follow through and actually have well-developed themes. I was really pretty disappointed because I was actually pretty excited going in. The premise I was here for, the trailers I really liked. The trailers were very good.
Yeah, trailers were good. I mean, a lot of trailers are pretty good. Most trailers are pretty good. What was her criticism? Did she just skip to themes? I thought she was going in chronological order, but okay. I think there's a really good theme in Joker. In fact, I might say there's like two. I think there's two solid themes that you can take from the movie. I don't think I have yet. Well, I mean, you're not missing out on anything. I think there's two really good themes, one involving Joker, one involving Gotham. They're fucking up like all these things that happen to Arthur. Slowly you can see the gears turning inside of his head, and he just gets fucked over. It's just a normal regular guy with a disease. I guess he's not normal, but he with a disease gets fucked over multiple times, and not only is it because of personal issues, but it's also because of societal issues, and snaps one day, and doesn't take it anymore. I think there's another movie that's something like that, almost like a Yes Man type of movie, but I forgot what it's called. It's not Yes Man, but it's not Taxi Driver either. Taxi Driver is not as good as Joker, but that, as well as I guess it's a smaller theme of like how society in Gotham is slowly getting fucked over, and is becoming worse and worse to the point where an occurring incident, which is the Arthur shooting those three rich white kids in the train station, is the what is it called, the turning tide, that the pivot point of and the snap of Gotham just kind of retaliating against their government, because even in the very beginning, like there's a guy who wants, the city, the people who run the city, to like sit down for 48 hours and just talk about how to fix the city. People are not, happy with the way that the city is being treated by their, representatives. And it's slowly, like, that's also just, just society in general. They're just kind of snapping back. I think those are two really good, strong themes in the movie that are carried out really well throughout, especially in the very end.
Can we just acknowledge that? This movie had 2 really solid trailers. Fortunately, I'm able to compartmentalize, and when this happens, I can still go back and just enjoy a good trailer, even if I...
What? Why would you... you watch the movie, but then you want to go back and just watch the why would you want to do that? Like, the only thing I can think of in this kind of scenario where I could somewhat relate to her is the Age of Ultron trailer. I thought that trailer was fucking amazing, and then I watched the movie, and the movie was shit. And I still think on that trailer, it's like, man, that trailer really had a different kind of story. But you look at the trailer for Joker, and then you watch the movie. It's the same exact movie. And then you say the story is bad, but the trailer is good. I want to go back and rewatch the trailers. What? What are you trying to say? Weird thing to say. Like, that's a weird it's a weird thing to do. I just, for fun, I just go back and watch the trailers. I don't. I mean, I might be weird, but weird. That's a weird thing to say, I think.
I know that the movie didn't turn out being that good. I could just go back and watch the trailer and...
See, I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would, because like the movie is bad, and let's make this scenario. The movie is bad. I go back to watch the trailer, and then I'm reminded again, oh shit, the movie is really bad. I just forgot. The trailer is good though, is what she's trying to say, and I don't understand why she would say that. I don't understand why. She's...
And remember how excited it made me feel. It's like an anime music video. It's its own art. You're just like, nice trailer. That's very sad. If you haven't...
2 very different things, but all right.
Haven't seen it, and for some reason you're watching this video, I assume everyone that clicked it because they like the movie and they like to feel anger for some reason. Anyway, on the off chance that you haven't seen it, let me break this down very quickly. Remember in the trailer they had all these compelling shots of the Joker dancing in a grandiose fashion, and they're playing a Bing Crosby song or something. I'm 90% sure it's not Bing Crosby. Don't get on my case about this. Anyway, you see those in the trailer and you get kind of hype because it feels like this kind of bombastic scene, maybe a emotional height for the Joker, or a culmination of a lot of things that lead to him being on this staircase or backstage of this show and doing a grand little dance. You kind of assume it's not triumphant given the overall tone of the movie, but that it's at least going to be some kind of cool standout scene. But the truth is, the Joker isn't dancing in an interesting moment as part of a bigger scene. He dances at several points in the movie, actually, in various settings, and each time he does it, there isn't really a build-up to it. There's an unrelated scene that somehow indicates his descent into madness, and then cut away to a different scene wherein he is dancing in front.
So I guess she just doesn't understand the point of Joker dancing. Every time Joker dances, it's either one, he's feeling really, really strong, powerful, like the scene where he has a gun, or the scene after he runs away from the cops, or he feels really free. That applies too. Or in his his fantasies with or when he's practicing with Arthur, or not Arthur, with Murray. On the Murray show. I think those are very related scenes. I don't know why she would think that they're completely unrelated and it's just a descent and like a random cut. Like, oh shit, okay, now he's dancing. I don't know how you didn't connect the dots, but Joker's dancing has purpose to him. Like you think about the things that he's thinking while he's dancing. Oh shit, I'm free. I'm fucking I'm on the top of the moon right now. I'm on the top of Mount Everest. This is the greatest feeling of all time. I have to express it somehow. So he dances. He feels really powerful. He feels free, I I don't know how she missed that. I really don't get it.
front of a mirror or on a staircase or backstage of the talk show, and you're like, oh, and it's slow motion. It doesn't have fun like show tuny music the way it does in the trailer. It just has very somber strings, and each of these scenes is really sort of interchangeable with the other ones like it. I'm very here for like slow, boring character studies, but it didn't feel slow and boring because it was intimate or because it was taking its time to really develop the character. It felt like it was slow and boring because Todd Phillips had like a couple ideas for good scenes and then just repeated them a lot. Like he was trying to pad the movie. Sad thing.
Oh, no. Are we at 300? What is this bit rate? Why are we at such a low bit rate? Oh. Let's do that. That's going to be way better. There we go. That looks about right. What was she saying? Todd Phillips has a few ideas that he just kind of jumbles together. That's her point. Again, she just kind of misses the point. I don't know how it just flew right over her head. Let's hear what she's
Boring character studies, but it didn't feel slow and boring because it was intimate or because it was taking its time to really develop the character. It felt like it was slow and boring because Todd Phillips had like a couple ideas for good scenes and then just repeated them a lot. Like he was trying to pad the movie. Sad thing happens to Arthur. Shot of Arthur in a dim room, smoking and looking seriously at a wall. Shot of Arthur dancing in slow-mo, but you play violin music over it. Also, a scene of a man dancing doesn't automatically become poignant just because you slow it down and put spooky violins over it, especially when you do it more than once. And by the third or fourth time, it starts to just feel tiresome, like this could have been a half-hour movie for how little ground it covers. Okay, hold up.
Wow. Oh my god, I can't believe she just said that. This could have been a half-hour movie for how much ground it covers. My god. There's so much shit that happens in this movie. Jenny, I don't know if I'm kind of getting a little bit angry right now. Because you said that the movie could have been half an hour. How long is the movie? Hour and a half? Hour 45? That movie is long for a good reason. And that's because there's a lot of stuff that happens. Let's see. Let me see how long it is. Joker properties. It is not telling me. Let me just open it. Oh, there we go. The movie is 2 hours long, and she said it could have been shrunk down to half an hour. There's a lot of stuff that happens, Jenny. I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in Gotham. There's a lot of stuff that happens to Joker. A lot of stuff that happens with Thomas Wayne. A lot of stuff that happens with Penny. Penny, what the fuck's her last name? Penny something. Arthur. Happy, whatever. Fuck it, whatever. There's a lot of stuff that happens with them, especially with Joker, and a good chunk of it is Joker. In fact, I'd say almost all of it is with Joker because it's a character study. And all those characters have something related to do with Joker. But the reason it's long is so that it's not contrived and convenient. It's so that there's a good cause and effect for everything that happens. And I fucking love it for that. I absolutely love it for that. I don't know why you don't. It's weird.
Before I go farther, let me just break down what I liked really quickly. They have a couple nods to the famous Joker story. I think this was all in The Killing Joke, where he says that anyone can go crazy if they just have one comically, exaggeratedly, monumentally bad day. They even have Arthur say at one point, "I'm having a bad day." So, that's all there. I noticed that. I don't know if I liked it. I noticed it. I liked this one sequence where Arthur goes to a movie house and they're watching this old Charlie Chaplin movie. I think it's the famous one that's set in the Great Depression, and he's a downtrodden factory worker, and there's like this major plot point where he keeps accidentally inciting these riots or uprisings. I think there's a major part where he says that he'd rather be in jail. Like, it's a comedic thing where he's trying to get thrown back in jail because the living conditions there are better than they are outside. So as you've probably noticed, there are enough overt big plot echoes between the two stories that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, if you want to look to that Charlie Chaplin movie as like an actual indicator of theme, it doesn't really work because like it is a comedy. It has a
I don't know why you would think that, or anybody would try to put that in a movie and say that that's a theme. I could say like it might be a reflection of the theme, or it might be relating to the movie. But like putting a movie or a show or something inside of another movie, and then saying that is the theme, it might be a reflection of the theme. I would never ever call it, oh, here's a theme right here, you know. But if that's the case, that's actually really cool. I didn't actually know that. That's a really cool piece of cool little piece of detail that I think Todd Phillips would have done, or one of the producers or something.
A happy ending,
really
where
cool.
I think it's just him like getting a girlfriend and going to make things work in the real world. So it's not like a 1-1 correlation. I just think it's kind of cool to reference an old movie, but I don't think it necessarily tied the whole thing together. I don't know that it was intended to, though. I don't know. I'd call it like
nope.
a little half-baked, which isn't to say that it doesn't get points. It gets like exactly half points. It's half-baked, you know? A half-baked chocolate chip cookie is still pretty good. I really like the color scheme of the Joker's outfit. I don't know if this particular...
So, what was she trying to make the point, like the fact that Charlie Chaplin is in there, and it might relate to the Joker movie, that it gets half a point or even 1 point? I wouldn't even say it really even gets a point, because if it doesn't relate anything to the movie, it's still a functional, you know, thing in the movie, you know, that's just what people are watching. But if it does relate to the movie, I would give it like more than 1 point if it's related at all. Because I think that's a really cool detail to have in your movie. It's a really cool opportunity to take. But if it's not, then okay, it doesn't really have much to do with the movie, you know.
Color scheme is lifted from some already existing incarnation of the Joker, but it's not familiar to me, I don't think. I'm used to like purple and green, so I thought it was good. Also, I'm going to praise the thing that everybody is... Again,
that's something I don't really care about. Like the clothing is cool, sure, and he looks really good in it, but yeah, that doesn't really matter to me. I really just care about the story and plot, characters, and plot progression, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff, the juicy stuff to me.
Praising that Joaquin Phoenix's performance is really good. It was really good. There's not a lot to say about that. He does convincingly
Okay, we can agree on that.
Come off as somebody with some kind of social disorder and not just like a weird caricature like Eddie Redmayne in the Fantastic Beasts movies. Sorry, I can't stop coming for the Fantastic Beasts movies. And to give credit to the script as written, I actually also liked a lot of the character details you see of Arthur at the beginning, like the fact that he has a little laminated card that he hands to people about his condition, and the scenes of him at the comedy club where he's trying to like sit at the back and write physical notes about what topic of joke is getting laughs because he just can't understand like the nuances of comedy and can't figure out how to relate to people. It's like your heart just really breaks for him in those scenes. I thought those were really good. There are all these scenes later that I think are going to be looked at as like his acting moments that I don't think indicate good acting. I think it's all in the subtle stuff at the beginning, but I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, oh, that scene where he's smoking and staring at the wall, or that scene where he's like contorting his body in a weird way to dance. And it's like contorting your body and doing exhausting things. Exhausting does not equal good acting, and I think...
No, I would agree with that. Obviously, that's a weird thing to think that's true at all. But I can understand somebody saying that because, or like when he's contorting his body or stretching his shoes, you know, that kind of scene. That's a really good acting scene. But I think it's also a really good directing. A really good directing. A really good piece of direction, I guess, is the right way to say it. Because you can tell what the character is thinking. You can tell what Arthur is thinking. When he's stretching the shoes, and he's like, using every power strength of or every amount of strength that he has. Not only is he like, well, I mean, functionally he's trying to stretch the shoes, but you could also interpret that as he's really fucking angry that he has to deal with this. This is before I think he gets told that he has to like return the sign, but he feels angry that he's he has to be able to stretch his shoes, which I think it's probably because his feet are bigger than the shoes, and that might be like an extra pair of shoes that they have, but it's too small for him, and he's just trying to stretch as much as he can. Or the scene where he's smoking on the Murray show. You can tell what he's thinking. Everything is clear in his mind. You can tell through his eyes. Where's the scene? She brings up a picture of it.
Scene moments that I don't think indicate good acting. I think it's all in the subtle stuff at the beginning, but I'm sure everybody's going to be like, oh, that scene where he's smoking.
Here, you can really tell what he's thinking here. He's calm, he's comfortable, he's not worried, he knows what is going on. He's thinking like, I'm finally on the Murray show, I'm gonna kill it. He's not worried and nervous as he would be before everything happened to him. He's just really calm and composed about what he's doing. And I think it's a really good. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I think that's a great scene to have, a great piece of direction to have. And I don't know why she doesn't like that. It's really hard for her to piece these things together, I guess. Even though it feels like it's kind of clear to me. That might be a weird alpha thing that I just talked about there, but I'm not an asshole, so don't think that, please. Thank you very much.
And staring at the wall, or that scene where he's like contorting his body in a weird way to dance, and it's
like that's another dancing scene is where he's he's feeling free, he's calm, and that sunlight thing, obviously, like you can tell that the setting is reflects the tone of the movie and like how he feels. It's kind of the same way that like if it's cloudy outside, typically people feel down and stuff like that, but in this movie it's kind of like the other way. But I think it's a cool directing thing.
It's like contorting your body and doing exhausting
it's kind of
things.
Basic.
Exhausting does not equal good acting, and I think people conflate the two a lot. It's like that scene in Mamma Mia where Meryl Streep is doing The Winner Takes It All. The winner takes it all. The winner takes it all. She's just flailing her arms and her scarf everywhere and like wailing out the song, and that was a well-received performance. Everybody's like, wow, she really went for it on that song, and it's like, okay.
I used to think that my life...
This is going on way too long. I think I don't understand the context of this movie, so maybe there's a purpose to it that she just doesn't see. Like how she's doing it with Joker. I don't know.
Life was a tragedy.
Oh, she put the Joker, trailer over it. Okay.
But now I realize it's a comedy.
Holy shit, get on with it, please.
You just
So what I'm saying is this was a similar performance. But no, I thought he was...
I obviously I don't know the context of that, but I even with the scenes that she brought up, I don't think it's the same. I'm okay, there's one assumption that I'm having, and it's that Meryl Streep isn't, fucked up in the head like Arthur is.
Wow.
Thank you. But I don't think that's nearly the same thing.
Is really good as Arthur. Even the end, when I stopped liking the way Arthur was written and didn't think it was very consistent, you could feel Joaquin Phoenix trying to like keep it together and feel like the same character. Like the fact that as he's giving his big grandiose speech on the talk show, Joaquin Phoenix is still doing kind of a childish inflection. I thought that was really good. So thumbs up. It was
a childish inflection?
That as he's giving his big grandiose speech on the talk show, Joaquin Phoenix is still doing kind of a childish inflection. I thought that was really good. So thumbs up. It was
Ch- childish inflection. I don't know if I would say it's a childish inflection. I might say like it's more of a that's a weird thing, a childish inflection. Maybe I guess I just didn't think about that. Maybe she's saying like the way that he's conducting himself on the show is more of like like a punching bag for Murray. And then he just kind of devolves into coming back into being Joker. But even still, he still does like the Joker stuff. Like he makes a really bad joke about like, oh, the guy's dead, and then nobody laughs, and it's like, oh, hey, you can't say that, it's fucked up. I don't know if I would say that's a childish inflection. I kind of don't know what she's talking about, which is fine. That might be something on my part, but okay.
Good. But to go back to criticism, as I kind of just hinted at, I didn't think there was enough of a through line for his character the way it was written. And also, this is a character study, so this question should be important, but what are Arthur's motivations?
Oh my god. Don't tell me you missed out on that. You cannot tell me that you missed out on that, Jenny. Jenny, please tell me that once I play that, you're actually gonna bring up some of the events that happened in the movie.
Go ahead and give Arthur lines where he says he's not political, not trying to make a statement, etc. So if he's to be believed, which I understand is conditional, what does he want? Our best glimpses of what
he wants not to be fucked around with. He kind of wants people to treat him like normal. He kind of says that, but you can also kind of see it in like every instance of anything happening to him ever. Like even the smallest thing, like the cop saying, "Oh, is this laughing disability thing a joke? Is this part of your act?" And he's like, what do you think, dumbass? It's kind of funny. But like, you cannot tell me you missed that, Jenny. Come on, man. For real?
He wants are pretty obvious. They're in all of the delusions, the fantasy sequences he has. We can glean from the praise other characters give him what he would like. If he's to be believed, which I understand is conditional, what does he want? Our best glimpses of what he wants are pretty obvious. They're in all of the delusions, the fantasy sequences he has. We can glean from the praise other characters give him what he would like to be or to be perceived as. He wants the talk show host he looks up to validate him or almost be like a surrogate father. He wants people to say that he's funny, obviously.
A surrogate father? I don't know. No. I don't think he wants Murray to be his father. I think just the validation part. Surrogate father's a little much.
But there's one that's a little weird. This is the standout. It's something that his love interest says on one of the dates that he's imagining between them. She looks at the newsstand and sees the headlines about all the riots that Arthur's been inspiring by shooting the Wall Street guys. And she's like, I think that guy's a hero. So that leads us to believe that Arthur wants to be seen as a hero, one would assume. So that suggests that he does want to start a movement. He's happy that happened, even if it wasn't his...
No. He doesn't want to start a movement. He just wants to be noticed. He wants to be normal. He wants to be seen as normal. He doesn't want to start a movement. He like that was his whole thing. That I mean, you can because he says, I don't want to be political. I'm apolitical right now. It's just he just happened to have started a movement. He didn't want to start a movement. It just happened to be so. She says something right before that I'm kind of like losing my train of thought on.
So that suggests that he does want to start a movement. He's happy that happened. So that leads us to believe that Arthur...
So, okay. Thank you very much. So the fact that Joker's girlfriend, imagining that she's saying that I think he's a hero is because that's what he thinks people see him as. And arguably it is what people see him as in the movie. Like Gotham sees him as a hero, especially with people like supporting him when it's brought up on the news channel, like on TV when they're talking to no problem, man. When they're talking to Thomas Wayne, I don't think that he wants to be political or he wants to start a political thing. He just wanted to be normal. He just wants to be somebody that's not you know, I'm not trying to say he doesn't want to be, not, he wants, wow, fucking hell. Okay, I'm not trying to say he wants to be somebody that shouldn't be fucked with, you know, like he's a macho man, he's a mafia guy. He's the kind of guy that just wants to be normal. I really can't say it any better than that, because he's been fucked with in the whole movie. You know, everything is just, you know, less than human kind of experience for him.
Wants to be seen as a hero, one would assume. So that suggests that he does want to start a movement. He's happy that that happened, even if it wasn't his initial goal. And
so, okay, you literally just contradicted yourself, Jenny. What are you trying to say? You just said he wanted to start a movement, even if that was not his goal. Like, okay. She says he wanted to start. That indicates he wanted to start a movement. Well, let's just replay it. I'm just gonna say it wrong. By shooting
the Wall Street guys, and she's like, I think that guy's a hero. So that leads us to believe that Arthur wants to be seen as a hero, one would assume. So that suggests that he does want to start a movement.
He does want to start a movement. Okay.
He's happy that
which is not true. I don't think he would want to start a movement. I mean, there's references in there for it.
Happened, even if it wasn't his initial goal.
He's happy that happened. Wow, sorry. He's happy that happened. I think that's true. He's very happy that people are seeing that as a cool thing, you know, seeing him as a hero. I think, yes, I agree.
And he wants to be like a hero or influential. And I'm not saying it's bad that he contradicts this later. I get that he's crazy. That wasn't...
Did I miss it? Did we miss it?
So that leads us to believe that Arthur wants to be seen as a hero. One would assume. So that suggests that he does want to start a movement. He's happy that that happened, even if it wasn't his initial goal.
Even if it wasn't his initial goal. So, like, Jenny, you literally just, like, contradicted yourself. You just said he wanted to start a movement, even if it wasn't his initial goal. So it wasn't. So that means it wasn't his initial goal, or he didn't want to start a movement. Help! I am confusion.
He wants to be like a hero or influential. And I'm not saying it's bad that he contradicts this later. I get that he's crazy. That wasn't subtle. So sure, maybe he's...
What does he contradict? She's going very fast.
That he does want to start a movement. He's happy that that happened, even if it wasn't his initial goal. And he wants to be like a hero or influential. And I'm not saying it's bad that he contradicts this later. I get that he's crazy. That wasn't subtle. So...
Oh my God. Okay. So in her mind, this is what she's thinking. Okay, I'm Arthur. I want to start a movement. I shoot the three guys in the train station. Later on, I actually didn't want to start a movement. And the reason why I'm saying it's because I don't want to start a movement, I'm a little crazy. And that's why I contradict myself. That's what she's thinking. How could you think that? How could you think that? Why would you think that? If it was a contradiction, I would say it's a bad thing. But even if he is crazy, that's not an excuse for him contradicting himself. Unless like he has a specific condition that makes him contradict himself all the time. Like, Jenny, what?
So sure, maybe he's not sure what he wants, or he's being dishonest on the talk show, but at the same time, I'm pointing out that contradiction, so all of the dude bros who defend the movie, and they're like, he said he's not political, well, there are in-text contradictions for that, so...
Oh, okay, alright. Now we're getting points in the movie. We're gonna get our references now. Alright, let's go. I'm down.
There. In his fantasy sequence, when his girlfriend says he's a hero, he even, like, smiles to himself. It's very odd.
Does not mean that he wanted to start a movement. Did not mean that at all. It's just nice. It's nice for him to see that people are noticing him. Like, that's another thing that's that he brings up with I think, what was this, the social worker? It was somebody else, but he says, I'm finally getting noticed now, and it's nice to see that. I think it was the social worker.
Obvious, and like, I just wish that if that is what he wanted, it was reflected at all in his actions. Like,
it means it wasn't what he wanted. Did you watch the movie once, Jenny? Like, only once? I don't know. I know it's been like a year and a half since she's watched the movie. Well over. But Has she still only just watched the movie once? Like,
he engaged with the mob in some other way than just breaking out of the cop car, seemingly by coincidence in the middle of the mob. I just wish there was a straighter line between, like...
That's one. Yes, I think he should have died, especially if the cop is dead. Yeah, that's a bit of plot armor, especially because he didn't have his seatbelt because he's on the other side of the car by the time, you know, they get him out. Kind of ridiculous that he's just able to stand up, but it wasn't an escape plan. It was an accident. They didn't want to do that. I thought it was at the first time I watched the movie. I was like, oh shit, they're trying to like get him out. They're trying to save him. One, it didn't even work because he's back in jail. Two, there's no way that it's it was planned because the guy that crashed the car, I think it was like some sort of bus. He comes around the cop car. He's like looking inside, like, oh shit, dude, look, and he like looks at his guy. He's like, dude, look, it's the Joker guy. Let's get him out. Let's get him the fuck out. And then they take him out, put him on the car, and like, you know, he gets back up and does his whole shebang. You know, his dancing thing, puts on his dancing pants.
Like his actions and his motivations, you know, like some kind of character study. I get that the Joker is some kind of crazy supervillain, so he doesn't have to do things that like make sense to us or that we approve of.
Okay.
But they have to at least make some kind of internal sense, and if they don't, then he's not a good character to base the movie around. Like if
there's no way she watched the movie like more than once. She completely missed the point of the movie.
If you're gonna write this thing where the thing he wants is to be an entertainer or get public approval, it's not that hard to write a through line from that with him being a clown to him being a crazy murderer, because murderers do get attention. You could make it this whole media meta commentary.
Okay. She missed a lot of things in this movie. The person that he murders are, one, either fucking with him, or two, you know, that's just fucking with him. Like the three guys inside of the train that were beating him up. His mom completely lied to him, twice actually. And you know, I mean, she's a little crazy, but like completely fucked over his life. Everything that he knew about his life was completely flipped as soon as he got those papers from that black dude, which I think that's a little bit contrived. But and the fact that his dad, who he thought was his dad, I mean, this was right before the whole Penny thing. The fact that his dad is like, you're not my son. Are you crazy? You're absolutely nuts for me to think that I'm your father. And then he punches him. Don't ever fucking touch my son again. And then the same with Randall. The Randall is the one who literally had him fired. Essentially, like, Randall is the reason that Joker got in so much, like Arthur got into so much trouble with his boss, and lost his job. Now he can't take care of his mother. And like everybody that he kills has fucked with him. That's the whole point of the movie. That's not because he wanted well, I mean, it might be a sense of like validation of like, oh hey, I want to be noticed, but it's also with like the fact that don't treat me like shit, okay? Treat me like an actual human being. Why is that so hard to miss, dude? I feel like I'm going crazy, like that I feel like I'm the only one that's noticed this, you know? Especially with Jenny Nicholson, somebody who's so popular, and this video has 53K up and 13 down. That might be quite a bit of a difference, actually.
Like, he kills those guys on the subway in self-defense, but then he sees that that's the first thing he's done that's gotten him positive attention, and then he's like, well, maybe that's what I should do. Should just
No, that's not the reason. Like, that's not the reason he goes, you know, killing more people. It's not. First off, it's not random, like I just explained, but it's the first time he felt a sense of like power and freedom. So that was freedom. Like, that's the reason why. That's the main reason why he keeps killing other people. It's also the fact that like he's off his medicine, so his the way that he thinks is gonna be different now, and it's gonna be. I mean, that's another thing. That's a reason why he's gone so batshit, you know. But to think that he's going around killing just for the satisfaction that he's becoming more popular is wrong. I don't know how you could think that unless you watched the movie once and completely just didn't talk to anyone about it, didn't rethink about what the movie is about. I don't know how you could have made that conclusion. You know, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Kill everybody. They even have this shot where he like kills the talk show host, and then it shows all the TV monitors picking up the story of what he just did, and it's like, OMG, he's famous. And fine, you know, it's some kind of heavy-handed, media, but the rest of the movie wasn't about that at all, and that wasn't part of Arthur's motivation, so what's the point of that? So anyway, that's not a thing. Like Arthur. The point of the TV thing was that I think it was to show that what was happening was true, was real. But other than that, it's that, yes, he's getting very popular, and the fact that, but it's not his main goal, obviously. That's just a result of his goal, which is to, you know, kill the people who have fucked with him, and that's just, you know, it's spread like wildfire, and he's becoming a hero to the people that looks up to him. You know, it's not a main goal, however, it was something that resulted that, just turned out to be in his favor. Which it's not improbable that it would be turned out in his favor. Like, of course, like, who wouldn't want to be a hero to the people? Arthur notices the media coverage and he smiles about it, but it doesn't drive any of his later actions. Each subsequent time he kills people, it's for reasons totally unrelated to that, usually just because they wronged him in some way, and until the thing, Arthur notices the media coverage and he smiles about it, but it doesn't drive any of his later actions.
That's because he doesn't really care about the way that media think about him. He's really just happy that he's being not treated like trash. I'm repeating myself so much. I'm repeating myself a lot because what she's saying is just wrong. He doesn't care about media. The only thing that he cared about was Murray and his mom, and him being somewhat a semblance of a human being.
Each subsequent time he kills people, it's for reasons totally unrelated to that.
It's because because what you're thinking is wrong, Jenny. It has nothing to do with him thinking about media. Every single person that he's killed is because they fucked with him.
Usually just because they wronged him in some way, and until the final kill, he's not trying to get attention for it. Usually it happens somewhere in private, and then he tries to hide that he's done it. That's what's frustrating about Arthur's descent into madness, is it doesn't really feel like a descent. It's more like a point A, point B, and poignant dancing in the middle.
Good joke. But it's still wrong. They're not points. He's slowly devolving. Very slowly. You can see it in almost every single scene of the movie. You can see him being, one, yes, more free than he was in the scene before, but two, turning more crazy. That's I at this point I'm contemplating whether or not she actually watched the movie. Maybe she just watched the trailer multiple times and she's like, oh yeah, I watched the movie, there you go.
The Joker would like that. His reaction to different
Don't say that. Don't say that about my boy.
catalysts often feels arbitrary and not like it's a gradual progression at all. Like, one bad thing will happen and he'll respond violently, and then another equally bad thing will happen and he won't. It's frustrating to even try to articulate this because there's such an easy fallback for anyone trying to defend this movie against any criticism. They can just be like, he's not supposed to make sense. He's the Joker.
Fuck those people. Those people are wrong too. What is she trying to say though?
In the middle. The Joker would like that. His reaction to different catalysts often feels arbitrary and not like it's a gradual progression at all. Like, one bad thing will happen and he'll respond violently, and then another equally bad thing will happen and he won't. It's frustrating to even try to articulate this because there's such an easy fallback for anyone trying to defend this movie.
What is she referencing? I don't understand. Like, every bad thing that happens to him, he reacts violently. Randall stabs him. Mom lies to him about his adoption, kills her. Goes to his dad, or somebody who he thinks is his dad. Chokes fucking what's his name, Alfred, because Alfred says like, no, you're crazy, your mom is crazy. The only person he doesn't really hurt is Thomas Wayne, and that's because he really doesn't have much of a reason to hurt him. Because Thomas Wayne didn't really like mess with him, other than the fact that like, don't mess with my son ever again. And like Arthur's like, hey, fair enough. You're not my dad, I guess.
Be against any criticism. They can just be like, he's not.
But because like if that like I'm pausing a lot, and that's that's gonna be this whole show. But if we didn't get a scene of Arthur, or if we did get a scene of Arthur like figuring out that Thomas Wayne is actually his dad, I think the thing that would happen is that he would go and fuck with his dad, or not fuck with his dad, but like, damn, him and his dad are women. He would actually go and, right the wrongs that Thomas Wayne did to him. Really getting a shot into those nostrils right now. That's that's just because that's who Joker is. He wants people to treat him like normal. I don't know. Just a weird take that I have, I guess.
Not supposed to make sense. He's the Joker. He's crazy. And it's like, well, yeah, but in a character study movie, it's only interesting if you're willing to actually study the character. There has to be some kind of emotional core or sense to what they're doing. If you want to design a character...
It's funny how she just doesn't understand it, and she thinks it's the movie's fault.
Who just kind of does stuff that doesn't make sense, that's fine, but not if they're the focal point of a character study, because then you just don't have that much of a movie. This motivation issue for me really came to a head in the big talk show scene, which I feel like is the scene that everybody's going to be talking about. I'm already irritated by this scene because suddenly Arthur is like cool and confident and doesn't really display his nervous laughter tick for much of it. And sure, that's supposed to convey that he's transformed or whatever, but an earlier scene goes out of its way to imply that Arthur isn't really mentally ill in like a brain chemistry kind of sense, and all of his psychological problems are implied to be strongly linked to this head trauma he received as a child when he was abused.
What? Of course. This head trauma thing, the fact that he got beaten and abused. Yes, that would result in him getting chemical fuck-ups in his brain. Am I going crazy? I feel like I'm being stupid right now.
By his mother's abusive boyfriend, which, by the way, is framed as his mother's fault. So if this is all the result of...
Framed as his mother's fault? The mother didn't do anything. That's at least what the newspaper is saying. But even when they interrogate the mother, the mother is saying like, oh, he was being fine, he was being treated just fine. Even though it's because she's also very crazy, and fucked up in the head too. It could very well be her mother's fault too. It's not framed. I would never say that's framed. She has every amount of responsibility that the dad did or the boyfriend did to ensure the safety of Arthur. Man, this feels kind of sexist to think that, the mom's getting framed and not the dad. They're both kind of, she was kind of compliant, she kind of allowed it to happen too.
Of some kind of physical lesion in his brain.
I don't
so understand how some kind of aha moment where he decides to be a murderer is going to suddenly cure his inability to present as normal in social settings. But anyway, this scene is where Arthur is basically saying his thesis to the audience, and it's a mess. It's all over the place. No, right out the gate, Arthur is very heavy-handed. He comes out and sits on the couch and tells an inappropriate joke. It's like a mean-spirited knock-knock joke about someone's son dying in a drunk driving accident. And they've written in this pearl-clutching old lady character to sit next to Arthur, and it's so heavy-handed. She goes, "You can't joke about that. What a mean, offensive thing to tell jokes about. And this was the worst moment of my viewing experience. This was the moment I had my own Arthur-style delusion in which Todd Phillips was sitting next to me and like nudging me with his elbow and being like, do you understand? See, writer-director Todd Phillips has been going on every interview for the last several months and like complaining about how he can't make another Hangover-esque movie because people are too easily offended by his jokes these days. As if there aren't a
He's kind of right.
million movies getting made every day that are equally as trashy as his Hangover movies, and that there isn't a huge thriving audience for them.
Okay, she's ranting now. But the point of that joke, or the point of Joker saying that was that that's what he thinks is funny. Like, he genuinely thought that wasn't inappropriate. Joker thinks that that was a brilliant joke, and obviously it's not. And then you know, the Dr. Sally lady is like, hey, you can't say that kind of stuff. Especially when Murray said like, hey, you got to keep it clean, okay? I don't know why she's saying that this is wrong. It's a little overt. I'll concede to that, but they even go into it some more. Like, Joker's saying, hey, comedy's subjective. Murray says that, you know? Didn't you say that, Murray? It's like, I mean, that's also like part of, I guess, what she might say is like, oh, this is nudging me.
I'm sorry, I have no strong feelings about The Hangover. I haven't seen any of them. They might be funny. They probably are. They made a lot of money. I look like Bilbo Baggins. It's just when I
19 minutes in, she decides to add that in. Why would you do that? Also, you do look like Bilbo Baggins. Your exposure is way off the charts. What the fuck?
I hear a comedian say, nobody likes my jokes because they're offended, my brain just filters that, so all I hear is nobody likes my jokes. Which is a good warning to receive from a comedian. I already thought it was weird that he was complaining about that so much, because like, what does that have to do with Joker, the film that he's promoting? And the answer is, it has nothing to do with the Joker. There's nothing at all to do with that. Arthur's comedy career is not failing because his jokes are too offensive. He's not failing because he tells off-color jokes. He's failing because he has brain damage. A few clips...
Kinda. Yeah, I guess. But, like, yeah. But Todd Phillips going around and saying that it has nothing to do with the movie. But how is that a criticism of the movie? I don't understand. I don't understand why... Like, what... So she said, like, Todd Phillips is nudging me saying, hey, we can't make these jokes anymore. And then... She goes on to say Todd Phillips has been around the country saying, "Oh, I can't make these kinds of movies anymore." And then she goes on to say, "It actually doesn't have anything to do with the movie." So, why did you mention it then, Jenny? Why did you mention it at all if it has nothing to do with the movie? Like, it feels like you're nudging me right now, dude. Like, come on.
We see of his comedy performances, he's bombing because he has an uncontrollable laughter tic that happens when he's nervous. His jokes aren't inappropriate. They're like...
It does happen when he's nervous. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a point where it's just random. I think, yeah, nervous, stressed. The one point I might say is like, is the point where on the train scene, that he starts laughing when those guys are bothering that girl. I guess he's nervous because, you know, they're bothering her. Maybe he thinks that they're coming over to him after that, or it might be genuinely a little funny. I don't know.
Like baby joke book jokes. They're almost tragic in how earnest and childish they are. But no, they have...
Whoa, hold on. He just called Todd Phillips childish?
These aren't inappropriate. They're like baby joke book jokes. They're almost tragic. There's nothing at all to do with that. Arthur's comedy career is not failing because his jokes are too offensive. He's not failing because he tells off-color jokes. He's failing because he has brain damage. The few clips we see of his comedy performances, he's bombing because he has an uncontrollable laughter tic that happens when he's nervous. His jokes aren't
Well, he's bombing. Well, hold on. He's also bombing it because he just doesn't understand comedy. Didn't you just say that? Didn't you just say it's because he has brain damage?
Failing because he has brain damage. The few clips we see of his comedy performances, he's bombing because he has an uncontrollable laughter tic that that
Hold
happens
on.
when he's nervous. His jokes aren't
Hold on. Okay. She's equating the brain damage to the laughter tics, which, hold on. I thought she was saying the brain damage means that he doesn't understand the nuance of jokes, which she said earlier, which is that, I mean, that's why I kind of connected the two dots. But then she also says, like, he's bombing it because of the laughter tics. I mean, the laughter tics kind of contributed, but I wouldn't say that's the main issue of why he's bombing his jokes. He actually kind of had like some decent jokes at the Pogo Club, but just nobody was laughing. They just didn't find it funny. It was kind of funny. I mean, I don't know what to say. Look at me now. I thought that was genuinely kind of funny. I told my mom I'm gonna be a comedian, and look at me now. And it's like nobody's laughing. It's like, okay, that's actually pretty fucking hilarious. He's bombing it because he doesn't understand the comedy. He doesn't understand the nuance, as she said before, which I don't know why she's saying it differently now.
inappropriate. They're like baby joke book jokes. They're almost tragic in how earnest and childish they are. But no, they have
Oh, she's saying that for Joker. I mean, yes, they're childish, but like there's also some very, very dark ones that he just doesn't understand her. You know, like I hope my death makes more sense than my life. You know, it's really fucking tragic, but it's actually a little funny. It is actually a little fun. Like, it's pretty clever how he wrote it.
the old lady say that, and then in his speech Arthur is even like, you decide what's right and wrong, just like you decide what's funny and what's not. And it's like, having this weird you can't joke about that grandmother sitting next to Arthur on the talk show and having that be the thing that kicks off this confrontation is just the moment that writer-director Todd Phillips comes out of the screen like a 3D movie to complain to you about his career. The whole speech is just a hot mess. You can't have it both ways. You can't make a movie about a mentally ill man's tragic descent into further madness and then also have an ending where he gives a big coherent speech where he's a mouthpiece for you, the writer-director, about how nobody wanted a fourth Hangover movie.
Holy shit. She's really like going off. And just wrong. Like, you absolutely can have the two. You can absolutely have like a meta kind of protest thing where it's like, oh, I can't make these jokes anymore because they are no longer funny because people don't find them funny. Which is what something Joker does. He makes jokes that people don't find funny, even though he thinks they're funny. I don't know what like why you can't have the two. They're not mutually exclusive. You absolutely can have the two.
Movie. And then in this very same scene where you have the Joker parodying the exact thoughts and feelings of the director as expressed in every interview, you also have a line where he says, "What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that ignores him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve." And then he shoots the talk show host in the head. And it's like, well, does the writer-director also believe this?
She did not just fucking say that. She did not just Give me, I have to take a second. She did not just say that. She doesn't actually think that Todd Phillips wants to... I have to have gotten that wrong.
The exact thoughts and feelings of the director as expressed in every interview. You also have a line where he says, "What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that ignores him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve." And then he shoots the talk show host in the head. And it's like, well, does the writer-director also believe this? Is this what the movie's about? Is it in support of the Joker shooting the host in the head? Because contextually, it kind of seems that way. So
Well, okay. Here's the thing, Jenny. I it's sad that I have to explain this, but I'm a little bit of a mansplainer right now, I guess. Joker is still a bad guy. He's still not a good person, okay? Let's get that clear. Joker is not like in these new Disney movies, like in Cruella or Maleficent. Joker is still a bad guy. Like, he's still like a fucked up guy. However, because he's also a fucked up guy does not mean that he doesn't go off and shoot people randomly. He has reasons of why he kills those people. And that little speech, that line that he had was everything that the movie is about. A guy who's fucked up, treated like trash, a mentally ill loner, everything that had to do with Joker, everything that the events, was caused by or resulted to, all led up to that point. And he killed the guy because he was treating Joker like trash. That's why he shot him. Todd Phillips does not actually believe that. Todd Phillips is not trying to say Joker's a good guy, actually. He's doing what everybody should be doing and not allow people to, make people think that they're trash or make me think that I'm trash. Because I'll shoot Jimmy Kimmel and if he ever gets me up on stage and makes fun of me. Like, I'm shooting him right there. Are you crazy, Jenny? You did not actually believe that, right? Like, oh my God. I have to replay that. There's no way I'm getting this right.
Have the Joker parodying the exact thoughts and feelings of the director as expressed in every interview. You also have a line where he says, "What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that ignores him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve." And then he shoots the talk show host in the head. And it's like, well, does the writer-director also believe this?
Holy shit, dude.
Is this what the movie's about? Is it in support of the Joker shooting the host in the head? Because contextually, it kind of seems that way. So,
no, Jenny. We don't support that. I say we as if I'm Todd Phillips. He doesn't support that. He says that's bad. He says that's very bad. But that doesn't mean that there's no reason that he did that. He gave a reason that's justifiable to him. I'd like to think what Jenny thinks of Thanos. I actually would like to think. I wonder if Jenny thinks that Thanos is like supposed to be a good guy, or that the Russo brothers think that he's a good guy. Like there's a lot of similarities between Thanos and Joker, especially with the way that they think, and what they think is the right thing to do. I think there's some similarities with them. Not a lot. There's like one aspect, I think, but I'd like to think I'd like to know what she thinks about Thanos, and see if she actually goes in depth as she does with Joker here.
So aside from the poor implications of that line, I also just don't like that line. I think it's messy, and I will explain. I just think it feels clumsy and unrealistic for a mentally ill movie character to outright state that they are mentally ill in order to give some kind of movie thesis statement. I also think it's weird that
she just said, I'm going to explain why I think that's messy. And then she just says, I think it's messy because it's a mentally ill person explicitly stating it. I know that's kind of what I just did right now, but like, I'm kind of like, that wasn't an explanation unless she's going on forward to talk about it.
It's messy, and I will explain. I just think it feels clumsy and unrealistic for a mentally ill movie character to outright state that they are mentally ill in order to give some kind of movie thesis statement. I also think it's weird that even though he's like in full Joker mode and shooting people, he says mentally ill instead of crazy, as though not wanting to offend anybody. Anyway,
I don't think that he thinks he's crazy. I think that's why he chooses mentally ill. Because he is mentally ill. And I don't think any mentally ill person would say crazy. I mean, there's kind of like implications behind that. But she thinks it's clumsy that it explicitly states that. Even though, in context of the movie, he is mentioning a joke. And people also don't really see that he's a mentally ill person. So, one, he might be explaining to people, I'm kind of fucked up. I'm mentally ill. Two, he's also mentioning a joke. So in isolation, you can use that joke. I don't know what's the issue here. He's mentioning a joke. That's why he's talking about himself in the third person. And then the punchline of the joke is him killing Murray. Ay. I thought I would have some good arguments, dude. It's been a while since I've seen this, dude.
Anyway, for me, the only redeeming quality of that scene is that the Joker uses werewolf as a verb. I love that. I feel like I say this about so many movies, but like, what
use wolf as a verb. I'm gonna werewolf on you. Damn, cool. Come on, Jenny.
was the theme? What was it about? It sure presents itself as though it has something to say, and it half says many things, but it doesn't commit to any of them. Is it about the unfairness of class disparity? Thomas
You're getting a little there. You're getting close. You're so close. But then you go off the rails and say, what? He doesn't do this later on.
Wayne definitely seems pretty generically evil. I mean, he's confronted by a seemingly non-violent, mentally ill man, and he punches him in the face, and he calls poor people clowns on the news.
Jenny! I feel like freaking. I can't hold myself right now. Jenny, he punches the mentally ill person because that mentally ill person, one, fucking touched his son. Two, choked out Alfred, his butler. What are you talking about? I'm going crazy here, dude. What is going on here, man? He punched Arthur because he fucked around with his family. He even gave him time to explain himself. And then he punches himself, and man, next time you touch my son, I'm gonna fucking kill you. What? Okay. Let me make sure I got this right. I have to make sure.
But it doesn't commit to any of them. Is it about the unfairness of class disparity? Thomas Wayne definitely seems pretty generically evil. I mean,
he's not evil. He's not evil. He's not evil. What makes you think that he's evil? He's just a regular politician that's thinking these three people that were killed on the bus were completely innocent. Even though there's no other context to be said there. Yes, he's being shown as a little bit of a dick, but my God, he's not evil. What the fuck? He wants Gotham to be better. That's why he runs for mayor.
By a seemingly non-violent, mentally ill man, and he punches him in the face, and he calls poor people clowns on the news. That's what incites all those riots, which are kind of a focal point of the movie. But Arthur has that whole bit on the talk show where he insists that, at least according to him, he's not political, didn't mean to become a symbol for that movement, doesn't have strong feelings.
And wow, hold on. Didn't mean to become a symbol. He didn't mean to. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Okay. Plus, they don't even know that he is the symbol until the point where he says, "Oh, I shot those kids." So they have they think it's just a random guy with a clown suit. Okay. I feel like I'm going over the top, but I don't think I am.
And he calls poor people clowns on the.
So those poor people who think that they're clowns is because they're literally wearing clown masks in support of somebody who he thinks killed 3 innocent people on a subway bus because they're rich and white. That's what he thinks. And there's no other indication to think oh, they were beating up somebody, they were harassing somebody, even though that girl who was harassing, I think she even left the subway train before Joker, fucking killed them. Oh boy. It's getting hotter in here by the minute.
The news. That's what incites all those riots, which are kind of a focal point of the movie. But Arthur has that whole bit on the talk show where he insists that, at least according to him, he's not political, didn't mean to become a symbol for that movement, doesn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other. But then he contradicts that by getting mad at Thomas Wayne for not caring about the little guy. So I guess he does.
Hold on.
not political, didn't mean to become a symbol for that movement, doesn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other, but then he contradicts that by getting mad at Thomas Wayne for not caring about the little guy. So I guess...
So it's not political because he's only thinking about himself. The little guy he's talking about himself, okay? He's not being political. He's only talking about himself, his mom. He goes to Thomas Wayne like, hey, why aren't you helping us out? We're the little guy, you're the big guy. You're actually my dad, actually, so you can kind of like lend us a little bit of money. Just a little help would give us a huge advantage. But you don't care about us. You don't care about me and my mom. Like what the fuck? Why do you like do anything that you do if you don't actually even support me and like your son and your ex-girlfriend or something like that? I don't know. He's not political. He's not. It just happened to be political. He's only thinking about himself, which is relatable to literally everybody else. Isn't that kind of what like a celebrity is? Okay, no. I rebuke that. Never mind.
He does support that movement.
That little part, just that little part, the celebrity thing.
But then why not just say he supports the movement? He has an opportunity, he has a platform to say it, and why not kill Thomas Wayne when he had the chance? If he's violent now,
because he had nothing against Thomas Wayne. He figured out that he was adopted. He's like, okay, I have nothing against Thomas Wayne. It's not his fault.
Kills the talk show host instead for being mean to him, which is a pretty feeble reason. He just kills mean people. That's his thing. If we are...
You gotta figure it out, kinda. You're like, you half-baked it.
Are meant to believe Arthur that he doesn't stand for anything, which I think is kind of a big if. Is that what the movie's about? Is it about how violent criminals are just unhinged, shouldn't be looked to as heroes or symbols? But then why does he get to have a big speech at the end of the movie about how the world has wronged him? Why suddenly make him capable of delivering a coherent mission statement at the moment in the film that he's supposed to be the craziest? Is it literally just a deconstruction of Batman? They have this line at...
What the fuck? What? What? A deconstruction of Batman? What?
Mean people. That's his thing. If we are meant to believe Arthur that he doesn't stand for anything, which I think is kind of a big if, is that what the movie's about? Is it about how...
He stands for himself, which happened to be also standing up for, like, a shit ton of Gotham residents. Okay? Well, that is it. He's just a good representative.
Violent criminals are just unhinged, shouldn't be looked to as heroes or symbols. But then why does he get to have a big speech at the end of the movie about how...
She's like... I feel like she's like beating around the bush and like really looking in on the leaves, but doesn't understand the bush, if that makes any semblance of sense. Okay, I feel like that's a really good way to represent how she's thinking. Because you're not really thinking this through pretty well. It's just not doing well.
The world has wronged him. Why suddenly make him capable of delivering a coherent mission statement at the moment in the film that he's supposed to be the craziest? Is it literally...
He's the least crazy. One, because he's off his meds, and he's never had a clear, sense of state. Okay? He knows what his mission is at that point. That's why he doesn't, he's not nervous. He's calm. He's chill. This is what I'm doing. Fuck. I'm gonna do what's right for me. You guys didn't represent us good. Why am I talking like this? It's weird. Like Noel. Oh man, god damn it. Where were we at? Shit.
We have that line in his notebook.
Oh my god, the exposure just fucking goes off the rails. Look at that.
Arthur accepting himself and liking who he... Plot element. Like, is him being locked up bad or good? Why don't I get to
hold on.
critique? It's been talked to death, and it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you try to make serious movies out of instead for being mean to him, which is a pretty feeble reason. He just kills mean people. That's his thing. If we are meant to believe Arthur that he doesn't stand for anything, which I think is kind of a big if, is that what the movie's about? Is it about how violent criminals are just unhinged, shouldn't be looked to as heroes or symbols? But then why does he get to have a big speech at the end of the movie about how the world has wronged him? Why suddenly make him capable of delivering a coherent mission statement at the moment in the film that he's supposed to be the craziest. Is it literally just a deconstruction of Batman? They have this line
Wait.
at the beginning where the news stations are talking about this epidemic of giant super rats because like no one's been cleaning up the garbage, the city keeps getting worse, the rats are getting bigger and meaner and scarier. And then one of the hosts jokes that the way to take care of the super rats is now they're going to bring in super cats. And it's like a meta commentary on Batman, like he's a band-aid solution. He doesn't actually fix what's wrong. You bring in a Batman to beat up the criminals. You don't address why there's so much...
Jenny, what movie did you watch? That, first off, that was inside of Arthur's head. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, it could be taken also from the show, but whatever. How is that a commentary on Batman? Why are you doing so much? Okay. It's like the only things about Batman that we see is just Bruce Wayne. Okay. Him getting the smile on his face. Don't touch my fucking son ever again. And then the point where his parents got killed. I don't know why I showed that, but that's the third point. She's okay.
Crime, you don't address the class disparity in Gotham City, whatever. This is not a new concept. If anything, this is like baby's first Batman critique. It's been talked to death.
I'm just gonna let it go on. I have nothing to say. I'm just very confused.
And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you try to make serious movies out of like a thing made for kids 80 years ago.
Batman was made for kids? Who the fuck said that? I'm just...
Or whatever. So maybe that's part of the theme, because like Arthur isn't actually getting any treatment that he needs when he's sick. It's not until he manifests as like violently crazy and then he's just arrested and taken away, like the cat solution. But why give Arthur that line where he says he found things easier when he was still locked up? As if he's in favor of that solution? Why allude to the Charlie Chaplin movie with the same kind of plot element? Like, is him being locked...
The point of that line was because, you know, he wasn't being fucked with like a piece of trash. It's really just that simple.
Up bad or good? Why don't I get to watch a scene where Arthur has to ward off 3-foot-long super rat with a baseball bat? You promised me super rats. Bring me the super rats. Is the movie really about the underfunding of mental health care? Because even when Arthur was in treatment, his doctors seemed apathetic. It didn't appear to be helping, and they even suggest that when he's off meds, he's healthier and more coherent and more in control of himself. And it's like, what? So is the message nobody should be on meds? Are they always a negative? And why make a point to clarify that Arthur has physical brain damage? Is that to also support the idea that he shouldn't be on meds and meds are bad? Why have...
The point of him having meds is because he is fucked up in the head, and his doctors gave him the meds to chill him out, and that's why he doesn't go off killing people. But that's also why he's really depressed, and along with the fact that he's still being treated like trash, and unfortunate things are happening to him. And he doesn't understand the sense of comedy, and he's kind of flopping. But when the meds are taken away, he feels better. However, he kills people, along with the fact that he doesn't, have meds to keep him in check. Meds are not bad. My God. I'm actually kind of flabbergasted is the right word here. Why she said that. She said something else I think I was going to respond to.
More coherent and more in control of himself. And it's like, what? So is the message nobody should be on meds? Are they...
Obviously not. Meds keep him in check. And when he was off meds, he was killing people. Okay.
Always a negative? And why make a point to clarify that Arthur has physical brain damage? Is that to also support the idea that he shouldn't be on meds and meds are bad? Why have
Physical brain damage was like everything else other than the meds. Couldn't get the comedy stuff. Fucked up. Weird guy. It's not that hard. It really is not that hard. Like, I wish I had somebody else next to me so that they can also like explain what I'm trying to explain. But I feel like if I explain, I'm gonna just repeat myself. You know.
have that whole theme of Arthur trying to present as normal. We have that line in his notebook that
He's
they
not
zoom in
normal.
on where it says, the worst part about having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't. So is the message to embrace the idea of people having strange tics or social disorders and not expect a degree of normalcy, because that's fine, but that can't be the theme, because for Arthur, accepting himself and liking who he is directly correlates to him murdering people. So I hate to say it, but given the choice between murdering people and conforming, I personally would kind of prefer that Arthur conform. Maybe I'm alone in this. The movie gives so
Fucking hell. I have to, if I want to respond to it properly,
disorders and not expect a degree of normalcy, because that's fine, but that can't be the theme, because for Arthur, accepting himself and liking who he
doesn't necessarily accept himself. All he wants is to be treated as normal. And that's kind of like the biggest point that you're missing, and it's really hard to like respond if you don't understand that point, you know? Like, you watched a different movie. It's hard. I can't really talk to you.
He is directly correlates to him murdering people. So
He murders people because they did him wrong, and he's off his meds, so he's not in check. And that's why he kills people.
hate to say it, but given the choice between murdering people and conforming, I personally would kind of prefer that Arthur conform. Maybe I'm alone in...
Yes, that would be the right thing to do. But one, he can't. His meds are taken away. Hello, welcome back. Two, he also doesn't like to be fucked with. And the one time he relieved himself of being messed around with, he felt really powerful. The train scene. I don't know why that's hard for you to comprehend. After that, he's like, actually that felt kind of good. I feel more powerful than ever. He expresses his dance. And then like that is repeated throughout the movie with different events, different situations. His mom, Randall, Murray.
The movie gives so many of its characters statements that sound like they're the theme about like what's wrong with society, what needs to be fixed, but then it can just as easily back away from any of them by being like, well, that wasn't the good guy, or that character's crazy. And it's like, well, then say something. There was so
I'm almost done with this. We're so fucking close. I've repeated this point over and over again.
so much talk around this movie about how it's going to encourage mass murderers or incel murderers or whatever. Same thing, I guess. And I don't know, time will tell, I guess.
Wait, hold on.
Crazy. And it's like, well, then say something. There was so much talk around this movie about how it's going to encourage mass murderers or incel murderers or whatever. Same thing, I guess. And I don't know, time will tell, I guess. But honestly, this movie is so devoid of a message and such a blank slate that, yeah, I guess people could just make it be about whatever they want it to be. And it doesn't.
As far as I remember, there weren't any like mass murders or shootings or anything immediately after this movie. Like nothing that could be correlated. Maybe there's like one guy that was like, oh shoot, I really love Joker, and then they're like, Joker is a bad movie. It was, I don't know. As far as I remember, there wasn't anything like that after the movie came out. But she says it's such a blank slate that anybody can make it like that. It's just, I don't know how you could think that Joker is represented as a good guy here. I really don't get it. Like, he's being shown as empathetic, sympathetic. We get to see him devolving, same as Thanos in Infinity War. But we don't really think that Thanos is a good guy. We don't really think that fucking Joker's a good guy. Hell, even with Voldemort, in the back of my memory, I just remember her, talking about Grindelwald, or Fantastic Beasts. Even Voldemort has like his own kind of empathetic or sympathetic story for why he's bad. Saying talking about why a character is a bad guy isn't saying you should be that kind of a guy. How do you miss this kind of a point?
Doesn't really mean it's guilty of that. It just means that it's irresponsibly vague and like weirdly unnecessary. I will say this, when I saw the movie, I didn't get to hear any kind of audience reactions because I saw it enclosed in my car at a drive-in movie theater. Because
Okay. I didn't know they had those anymore, actually. I mean, I knew they had it for like happy-go-lucky movies or stuff like that, but a Joker movie? Interesting.
I didn't want to get shot. But then, in order to talk about this...
Oh, wait, what the fuck? Okay. Okay. I forgot about that. Hold on. She goes into a drive-in movie theater because she doesn't want to get shot. Is that what she says?
Like, weirdly unnecessary. I will say this, when I saw the movie, I didn't get to hear any kind of audience reactions because I saw it enclosed in my car at a drive-in movie theater because I didn't want to get shot.
How do you can still get shot. Like, there's glass everywhere. You think the metal doors are going to like stop the bullets from flying into you? I don't know if you've seen movies, but movies aren't exactly real life, okay? If you shoot at a car door, or even at a car like engine, one, your car's not going to work and you won't be able to go anywhere. But if it shoots your car door, it'll go through. Your car door is made out of like two like thin pieces of metal, and like a door handle. And that's assuming that he's shooting at your car door. Why would he shoot at your car door if he's shooting at the window? Weird explanation for going to the car movie theater. Weird. I don't understand what her thinking is at all.
But then, in order to talk about this movie, I felt like I had to look it up and rewatch certain scenes, primarily the talk show scene because it's so dialogue heavy and because it feels like it's given a lot of importance by the movie. So anyway, I looked up a lot of fan cams of it, and you can hear the audience reactions in that. And I was a bit surprised. There were 3 different uploads of varying quality, and in every single one, at the moment that he shoots the talk show host, you literally hear dudes clapping, and in one of them the guy behind the camera is even that was great, haha, that was so great, and it's what? Tell you what you call the police. Get what you deserve.
That was great.
Yeah, because you understand what Joker's thinking. You understand his motivations. You understand why he did that. It's oh shit, he would do that. Any other reason that they're saying that? Fuck them. But I really doubt that. Other than, wow, that was a really good scene. Because you say that in any other scene. You see that in even in the Avengers where they're killing fucking Nazis or something like that. Damn, that was great. Or even just any other movie that has anything to do with war. Just even a gory scene, just a random gory scene from any movie. That was great. And you don't think that, wow, this guy's a sociopath or a psychopath. You just think, they're probably talking about the movie. I don't know what to tell you, Jenny. Not a crazy guy.
Great. Boy.
I'm not trying to say that makes you a murderer because it definitely doesn't, but it
Okay. I don't know why anybody would think you'd say that, but okay.
does kind of suggests that you can't follow the emotional cues of any story more complex than, like, Iron Man. Like, you sat through that whole Joaquin Phoenix performance and you made it to like the 110-minute mark still thinking this was some kind of feel-good underdog story. Did you process that as a triumphant scene?
I already talked about this like so many times. He might have even been like a giving the benefit, like being devil's advocate. He could be even like a Joker fan and saying, damn, that Joker is cool. That Joker would do that kind of stuff. Because of this stuff in the movie, he would do. Yeah, absolutely he would do that. Yeah, that was pretty great.
Do you think things are gonna go well for Arthur from here? What were those people even doing for the rest of the movie? Were they just sitting there like bored out of their skulls? Like, we're action scene. When Joker fight Batman? Oh, I also don't like that scene at the end where it cuts to him in a bright hospital and he's like talking to a therapist and it's ambiguous as to whether or not the whole movie happened. Aha!
Wait, okay. She goes so fast, dude. Why would you think the other people, like, is she like making fun of the other people for not clapping or something? That's what she seems like she's saying. Because I was kind of shocked. And I was like, that makes sense for that why he would do that, but I still didn't expect that in the theater. Yes, I guess I wanted to get shot, but and then the hospital scene. A lot of people say this, but a lot of people say that the whole movie was all in his head. And for a second, I thought that in the theater, but like if you rewatch the movie, there's no indication of that happening. Like everything is like there's truth in the movie, other than his delusions, which are explicitly stated to be delusions, are not real, and everything else is. As far as the movie goes, like a lot of people think that it's all in his head. I just don't think that at all.
I bet like at least 20 of you thought I wasn't going to mention that, and your typing fingers were warming up. You were going to be like, it doesn't have to make sense because the story might not be true. Of course his story was maudlin or lacked internal consistency or didn't have a point. It's a story invented by a madman. Or, depending upon my preference as a commenter, maybe part of the story happened and other parts didn't happen, and I can just selectively decide and keep the ones I liked and get rid of the ones I didn't, and that's how movies work now. But no.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. Not even close. I literally just explained like there's a couple scenes that are explicitly not real. Everything else is real. Although a lot of people say that, like, you know, there's the train scene. Joker shoots 8 shots without reloading or without being shown that he reloads, even though it's like a 5 or 6 shot revolver. I think that is an explicit like mistake on the production of the movie. I think that's just a genuine mistake. I don't think that's in his head at all, even though a lot of people use that as proof for it being in his head because he's in what's the word, unreliable narrator or something like that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just a mistake of the movie because he still shoots those kids and he kills those kids, and it's like throughout the movie it's like a real thing. And the Bright Hospital, he's also cuffed up, and then he also well, I guess not. I was gonna say he also kills the therapist, which is also proof. That's just not proof. But he's in the hospital. He's cuffed up, which would also indicate like, okay, he might be. It still might be true. I don't think that everything was in his head at all. I don't. I really don't. I'd like to have a conversation with those who do think that and prove them wrong.
No, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the same thing as having the Joker outright say he's not political and then making a movie with many implied political themes and then also having him do a mission statement at the end. You're doing like a cop-out thing and you're affording yourself enough deniability that if any part of the movie doesn't make sense, you can be like, well, it wasn't supposed to. But then why did you make your movie? It's disingenuous to claim that it doesn't have any point because you made it for some reason, but like you're just afraid to commit to what it is.
Now hold on. Is she going meta now? Like, is she talking about Todd Phillips and like what the point of the movie is, and saying that he doesn't have a point of the movie? Because if that's the case, if he does say that, then I have a problem with that because the movie says a lot. But if she's talking about the things that happen in the movie specifically, then I have a problem with her thinking about that. There's a lot of things that happen in the movie because of what he does. I would have to keep repeating myself, but I've already explained it myself the whole podcast, you know.
of the framing narrative and the unreliable narrator thing. Even if we assume this whole movie was a delusion or like willfully made up by the Joker, does that inform us of something in his worldview or like give us new insight into the story? That might have even been an interesting framing narrative if they set it up earlier or like did cutaways to it where he's talking to the therapist Princess Bride style, and then maybe through the telling of the story you can get some kind of hint of maybe what would compel the Joker to make it up, like what his motives are, what emotional impact he's trying to have, or like maybe even the therapist could start noticing inconsistencies in the story or like commenting on them to make the audience start to doubt themselves and doubt the truth of what they're seeing. Like, how cool would it be if you have this...
So she thinks that, well, I mean, there's a recorder in the room too, so he's obviously like talking about what happened, you know, throughout, like he's talking about the movie. And I think that because of what's shown in the movie, that everything he says is true, up to the point where like unless he says like I had a girlfriend and stuff like that. No, I think he says like I think he would say that she was actually fake. I thought of myself as a comedian in Pogo Club doing really well, even though like there's video that's like, you know, contradicting that. I think he explains everything there. Although I have no proof to say that. That's just like a headcanon thing of mine. But I think that the movie is truth, and it might be like a recollection of everything that he says in that recording, along with the actual truth, the actual things that happen in Gotham, if that makes any sense. Hopefully I made sense there.
Love interest character, the Sophie character, and she's like in the movie, and then at the halfway point suddenly she's still there, but everybody's calling her Cheryl, and like you notice, or like the therapist notice, and it's like, I thought her name was Sophie. What, did you make that person up? What's going on? I don't know. I feel like if you already decide...
Who's Sophie? Who's Cheryl? What is it? Sophie and Joker. One of the most intriguing details in the script reveals is the fate of Sophie Dumont, one of the film's most sympathetic characters in Joker. Arthur Fleck falls in love with his neighbor. Down in the luck of the single mother of the film, Sophie is... Cheryl? Where's Cheryl come from? Cheryl. I don't see any Cheryl in Joker. What? I don't get it. Watching this with my girlfriend in the living room right now. So Hill's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam. You're the man, and so is your girlfriend. Is the man. Yes, that's what I said. Okay.
That you want your framing narrative to be crazy guy telling a story. There are ways to own it and have it improve the story in some way, but saving it for the very end, like it's supposed to be some kind of big shocking twist reveal, it just falls flat because it's just not a good twist. Like, the story is about a mentally ill character. He's already had delusions in the rest of the story, so like you can see it coming from a mile away. And
sure. Also,
like, that's been done so many times. It's just so...
That's not a criticism. That's just because it's been done so many times doesn't make it like, oh, this is not a good thing. Cliche does not mean bad, okay? Cliche does not mean bad. It's done well. In fact, the first instance that we see Sophie talking to Arthur Fleck, you know, when Sophie comes to Arthur's door, hey, did you follow me? And then Joker's like, yeah. God, the way they said that. And then Sophie's like, oh, Arthur, you're so funny, or something like that. And I was like, oh, hold on there. She never knew Arthur's name. That's the first clue, like that, you know, you can see, yes, you can very clearly see that it's in Joker's head, along with like, you know, like everything that happens in the Joker. My goodness, my phone is just fucking popping off. I'm just so popular right now. There are other instances in the movie where you can tell that Joker is hallucinating Sophie being his girlfriend. But it's also kind of sad because like that's what he wants. You know, he wants to be treated like a human being. You know, it's such a simple thing that she's missing here. And so that, you know, Jenny's missing here. I don't get it.
Old hat. Is that mixing my metaphors to say old hat now? It's like an old hat that you can see from miles away. The biggest, oldest hat. And in this...
What? Did I miss something?
So, like, you can see it coming from a mile away. And
Okay.
also, like, that's been done so many times. It's just so old hat. Is that mixing my metaphors to say old hat now? It's like an old hat that you can see from miles away. The biggest, oldest hat. And in this instance, it feels like
Was that supposed to be a joke? Weird. Okay.
an even bigger cop-out than it would be in any other movie. If the narrative had served to convince you of some very specific theme or some very specific characterization of the Joker to get attached to, it might have kind of worked as like a slap in the face to find out he's either malicious or crazy and it's not true. But instead, the rest of it's so unfocused, you're just kind of like, okay. Like, for example, if the Joker's actions had followed some kind of internal logic and they had been presented in a way where they seemed to us to make sense in his very specific situation, like, oh, he was a victim of circumstance. Oh,
He was a victim of circumcision. I thought that's what she was going to say. No, everything does happen and makes internal sense to Joker, okay? In fact, not only internal sense, but it's somewhat sympathetic to just a normal person being treated like trash. I don't want that to happen to me. And so the people who do treat him like absolute trash, he kills. It's like, okay, hold on. I mean, that's a little too much for me, but I kind of get that you're a little crazy. You might do that. I mean, probably feels good to you, you know? And maybe one of them deserves it. Hell, I mean, Randall was kind of a piece of shit. Did he deserve to die? But I understand why you killed him. You know, you're not a good guy for doing that, but I understand. But apparently to Jenny, it just fucking goes way over her head. She just doesn't get it.
misunderstood. He had no choice. And the movie's totally taken you in, like you're really feeling for the Joker. Then at the end, you're like, oh, he really pulled the wool over our eyes. But instead, it's just a story told by a crazy man wherein he acts like a crazy man. Look, Doc.
Just fucking, I can't believe she said that. Why does this have 1.2 million views? Why does she have 741,000 subs? This movie is a crazy man being a crazy man. Oh my god. What an easy way to just simplify any movie ever. Star Wars is just a boy meeting his dad. What the fuck? Come on, dude.
This may shock you because I'm in an asylum for the criminally insane, but my origin story is I was insane and then I became a criminal. You're like, all right, I guess.
Fuck you. Properly fuck you. That was, wow. That was like, if there was a line, that was crossing it, okay?
I guess that checks out. Ultimately, if you do believe that everything the Joker is saying is true, you have just been convinced that the Joker is crazy. And if you don't...
Like why go half an hour throughout talking about the whole movie if you're just going to say that? Crazy man is crazy and he's a criminal. That's the movie. Bye-bye. Like, why did you go through anything else?
Don't believe that the story is true, then the story has just informed you that the Joker is crazy. Why give the story a framing narrative as like a twist ending if it literally doesn't matter? I guess it was a cool last line. I mean, I can't begrudge it that. It was a cool last line. This movie actually had a lot of cool lines, like just...
The thing that makes lines cool in a movie like I Am Your Father... No, Luke, I am your father, you know? Because there's a lot of good shit to talk about in those movies. Same with this movie. However, she just says they're cool, just surface level, like, damn, that seemed kind of badass. And I like that, you know? Like, come on, dude. There's so much more to talk about, but you just go surface level and you do not get any deeper. And that sucks, and that's sad, and I hate that, and I don't like that, and fuck you for saying that the movie Joker is just a crazy man being a criminal, okay?
Good one-liners, but also most of them were in the trailer. The trailers had better music too. I guess that's my review, is like if you
What
saw
do you mean? The music was in the movie. Oh my lord.
trailers and you were intrigued, then like just rewatch the trailers. It's a better experience than watching the whole movie.
Fuck you.
Doesn't take as long. It's free. It's fine. But if you're like
Fuck
me and
you.
you're just like
Fuck you. Oh my god. Fuck you.
to sit in the safety of your own car and eat movie theater popcorn, then like knock yourself out.
And that's it. And that. Wow. Oh my god. Let's close that out. Fucking hell, dude. That was one of the worst. I think that was one of the worst videos I've ever seen. My god, that was bad. Like horrific. That what a disaster of a fucking review. I can't believe she led up to the point where it's like, hey, Joker is just a crazy guy being a criminal. And that's kind of it. What the fuck? Like, really? Holy shit, dude. Oh, there's more.
I'm not going to be too hard on it because it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you try to make serious movies out of like a thing made for kids 80 years ago or whatever. So maybe that's part of the theme, because like Arthur isn't actually getting any treatment that he needs when he's sick. It's not until he manifests.
Oh, it just went way back. Here.
Through where they find out that all of the Joker's dates with Sophie have been like delusions or daydreams or something. And like, dude, I promise you, every woman in the theater knew it was fake as soon as she agreed to a first date where she went to watch him do stand-up comedy.
Dude, it's not only women. I knew that too. Okay? No random person would just go out on a date with a stalker, okay? It's not a woman thing. It's a normal human being person thing.
An open mic night. Do you know how many years of goodwill you have to build up for me to go watch you do stand-up comedy at an open mic night?
Wow, fuck you. Holy shit. Wow, what a terrible person. Holy shit, dude. That was... I just don't even know what to say. That was terrible, dude. Oh, welcome back. You got a new mouse. Congrats. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out, dude. 2 hours of this shit. Wow. That was one of the worst videos I've ever seen. The twist got you? Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that some people, some people had the twist, get to them. Why does this have so many likes? I'm out, dude. I was going to do another video, but my God, that just took everything from me. Okay. I'm going to go watch the amazing fight, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be much better of an experience than this. My God. It can only really go up from here. I think this might be the low. All right. Thank you for coming. First show done. First podcast done. We still have yet to choose a name up there. Enter podcast name here. Maybe that's just going to be the name. Oh, well. But yeah. Have a good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. See you later. Love you. Kiss you. And